Beloved Cardiac Radio friends, it's a pleasure to be with you tonight again. We are continuing with our book, Message from a Teen in the Spirit's World by the Spirit Neio Lucio and psychographed by Chico Xavier. We are at the chapter Reparation. I'm going to read the last few sentences of last week's chapter because it's like flowing into one another, and so that we can just remind ourselves what happened last week. Now, last week, Carlos remembered that he stoned to death a cat of his neighbors, and it was very hard for him to remember what he did. And by remembering this is what the teacher said. Knowing that my teacher could see what was hidden in my memories, I hugged him and pleaded, "My protector and friend, help me for mercy's sake." He listened emotionally to my plea and felt pity for me, because he put his hand on my head and prayed with such wonderful feeling for my peace of mind that I felt suddenly renewed. Those caring hands radiated an intense light that pierced my entire soul and bathed it with new energies. In light of the relief for my confession in front of everyone, my spirit settled down. Hi Gabriel, thank you for joining. Okay, and then it is now the new chapter, Reparation. When he finished his prayer, I composed myself and asked the teacher to tell me the best way to repair the wrong I had committed in the past. So in a talk that would be useful for all the students in the class, he suggested that I profit from what I had learned from my experience by giving all the care I could to animals, which are also God's creatures on their way towards perfection like the rest of us. He encouraged me to go over my memories of that time, offering fervent prayers and sincere promises never again to take the lives of the fragile and harmless beings of God's creation. Next, he commented on the disastrous consequences of our thoughtless or sinful actions, which spread disharmony and trouble. He explained that he had seen countless children who had gone through the same sort of thing, although the regrettable incident they recall were different. He remembered many big kids who should have known better spend a lot of time destroying nests, trapping birds, or thoughtlessly killing them, harassing dogs just to be mean, or stoning gentle animals to death. He stated that all young people of this kind experience very difficult trials here because they have to repair the wrongs they have committed in the world, with complete disregard for their parents, instructors, or the good advice of older persons. Since then, I have remembered little Piccino and still see his image inside, but with the power of prayer, my thoughts have become more at peace by returning to the past in an attitude of sincere repentance and by asking for forgiveness. I have humbled the willful feelings that have always hidden my bad side, and thus I have gotten better. I no longer indulge in idle or useless time. In every instant meant for rest and recreation, I find trees to care for and small animals that I can help effectively. I, who used to love to watch birds chased by big boys, and now devoting myself to helping small birds, built their nest. And I have noticed that because of my changed attitude, everyone around me seems to have changed also. I get kind and thankful looks everywhere. My teachers and classmates seem friendlier. Seeing my sincere efforts to correct myself, no one has spoken to me about the cat I stoned to death. That sad episode has been kindly forgotten by everyone. To the trees and birds which I have been devoting myself to lately, I owe the joy that has filled my soul. I am almost certain that little Bichano has forgotten my evil act. I feel that I have made peace with myself, and I believe that if I were to return home right now, I would be a better son and brother. Oh, Lucio, never torment or kill harmful animals. I've cried a lot in order to repair the wrong I've committed. This is a very instructive chapter, I think, for everyone, because it talks about not only children but killing animals. And in his explanation, he talks about trees as well. And if we go to the Spirit's book, and there's a few things that I would like to talk about. Let me just put it here. If we go to the Spirit's book, we will see that it is the exact thing that is one of the questions that Allan Kardec asked the spirits. Do animals progress by their will, like human beings, or by necessity? And it says by necessity. Let me just get the one. Okay, and then it goes by, let me just see the right one. On highly evolved worlds, do the animals know about God? No. Human beings are gods to them, as spiritists used to be gods to humans. I'm going to repeat it. It's question 603 in the Spirit's book. It says, on highly evolved worlds, do the animals know about God? And he's talking about others. No, human beings are gods to them, as spirits used to be gods to humans. And then it says here, do animals follow a law of progress like humans? And this is the one, it is question 601. It says yes. And that is why on higher worlds, where humans are more advanced, the animals are also more advanced and possess more developed means of communication. However, they are always lower than humans and subjected to them. They are the intelligent servants, which means that we have to look after them. We are entrusted with everything on earth. And if you want to go and look this up, from question 592, it is a whole chapter about animals and human beings in the Spirit's book. It starts with the question 592, and I think it continues to, there's quite a few questions about this, so it's very educational for us to read. And it is the same that Carlos said that one of his teachers told them, to look after animals. And it's a good thing for us when our children have animals. It is a way of teaching them to care for something, to look after them, to help them, to even talk to them and pray for them, because they have also are going through things. I can have an example. We have 9 cats. So they go where they want, they just appear. And there was a time, and I wanted to start with this story. We had rescued cats when we lived in another city, and we had then about 15 cats. And one of my neighbors hated cats. They just recently moved in and we were living there for a while, and it's wild cats, so they just came to eat and I won't say it's all our cats, but they were wild, so we feed them and we help them. So he started shooting them. So it was like a very terrible time going through that. And actually, he was very nasty about it. And that is the time when we had to pray and had to visualize ourselves forgiving him and know that it is not for us to judge, but it is between him and God. And it was a very hard time and a very hard lesson to learn, to find every day find a cat that has died. And maybe some of them were our own cats that were shot. So it was actually a very educational time that we went through to forgive. And a great lesson actually. And every lesson we shouldn't look at it as a bad lesson, but sometimes as a lesson for us to see who we are. Can we actually forgive regardless of what is happening? So it is to say thank you, even in such dire circumstances. But at this moment again, when we moved, we had only 2 left. There was quite a few that has been killed. But when we moved again now, we have a lot of cats. But there's especially one that was very ill when we got him. And one of his siblings died of an illness, so just him and his sister made it through the illness. And he was quite ill, so he couldn't eat for a long time. And we have a prayer group, so we prayed for him because everything that is living belongs to God, and we pray for them and even give them passes, and I believe in that. So we in the prayer group, we were praying for the cat, the little cat, and his name is Sokkies, which is an Afrikaans name for socks actually. Yes, so he was very small for a long time, and when he started eating, he can't stop eating. And it's the same for humans and animals. And every day until today, I have to talk to him not to eat too much, because he's just continuous eating. He's got this thing about food now because he couldn't eat. And if we actually observe them, you will see how they look after one another, which is quite amazing, especially because we have so much, and how they interact with one another. And it is amazing to see, and even to see God in them, because it is quite amazing how they pick up on things. So, and that is just my, I would say, expert opinion about them. But the thing is that we should look after everything on this earth. And again, I'm going to tell you about that. When Vanessa said that we are only the butlers of this world. Everything is our responsibility. And it's like someone asking us to look after their things, to take care of it. That is the job that we have. And it's not to disturb, and it's not to judge, but it's to care for in a loving way. And that is a good thing if children have animals, any animal, is to pray for them and to feed them and to look after them and to see, actually to recognize that it does not belong to them, it belongs to God. So, and we are only the caretakers of that animal. Then there's another thing that I want, he says, I no longer indulge in idleness or useless time. And he talked about himself giving his time to correct himself, to helping birds build their nests, and to help to look at trees, and to be in nature, which is very consoling for him, especially for his thoughts process. And he says, the power of his thoughts and prayers, the power of his prayers to correct his mind for his own forgiveness, to forgive himself. And also he says, every time he recalls what he did and he see the little cat's face. He pray about it, and it is sometimes first and foremost to forgive ourselves when we know and when we learn what we have done, that it's not correct. To correct ourselves, we need to forgive ourselves. So it starts with us. And then he says, I no longer indulge in idleness, because he's doing something. He uses his free time to do something, to give back. And we can see what we can do about in our time as well. Most of us are still in lockdown, in isolation, but there's so many things that we can still do, actually. Where we are, there's a lot of nature, because where we live it's nature. But to plant and to work on with plants, and we planted flowers to have maybe just get these wonderful colors in the garden, so that we can give out this energy, because it's wonderful to have flowers even in the winter time. So every day now we look after the flowers and see that they can be water, and in 2 weeks and the progression of the seeds, which is so amazing, because everyone is different, and even in nature you can see the difference. Even though the seeds looks the same, the way they grow are different. And it's amazing to go into nature and to see all these things. The way, even a tree, the seeds could be the same, but the way they grow are different. Everyone is unique in their own. And that is why, even though we had so many cats as well, they are unique in their personalities and in what they do, and even how they talk to you, because they do talk to you. But you can see everything is like that. So it's very good to observe, I think. I think that this is the time to be still and observe. And even in ourselves, our tendencies. What is our tendencies now? Because there's so many news and so many things going on out there, that now is the time to observe what is our thoughts and reactions regarding everything that is going on. So it's a good time to be still, and maybe to go into nature, or in your garden. Just be in the garden, just work there, plant something, do something great. It's good for our soul to do things like that. If you've never done it, I mean, YouTube is full of information to plant seeds and to plant food or whatever you want to, what your idea is. It's actually quite great to do it. So then just do things like that. It's something inspiring for yourself, and actually the energy about that is great, that we give that energy, that love of flowers, and that into the universe as well. This was a very educational, I think, chapter, and the first thing that I want us to think about is, when we have something that we can't maybe forgive ourselves, or something that still comes into our mind that we can't deal with, or something that is not good for us, then let's pray about it. And this is what Carlos said. He says, it is through prayer that he corrected his mind. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that let us not indulge in idle and useless time. Even if we are home, and this is a new time for new things and a new way of being, but not to be idle and useless even now. In anything that we can do that can help someone, can help yourself, it doesn't matter what it is. Let's do it, so that we can give out all the good, because it's quite needed now. And then another thing that I want to do is, he says that, ask for forgiveness. The other one is, let's look, observe. Let's observe nature. Let's observe animals. and everything around us, and let's look at it as though it does not belong to us. It helps us letting go as well. It is good for us to practice letting go, especially in these times. We will not go back to the way things were. So it's a good practice to renew ourselves and to renew our thinking, and also to concentrate and learn what we can learn through any means necessary. And if you go to Kodak Radio, if you have the app, Kodak Radio, like Vanessa always says, it's 24 hours. It nourishes our souls from any time. You can go onto Kodak Radio, the app. People that doesn't have Facebook can go to the app and they can listen to all sorts of podcasts. This is so amazing. Even if you don't have a book, you can listen to books that are pre-recorded. And there's so many things that we can learn. Listen to this. We can watch. There's so many new shows on at this moment. They are doing great. So there's not so many opportunities for us to educate ourselves so that we can focus on the good. Like Emmanuel says in chapter 10 of Thought and Life, which is actually a great book for us to study with Vanessa and the Kodak Radio team. A wonderful book. I think we were going to continue with that book constantly, because we are still learning to use that information that Emmanuel gave through Chickasha, so that we can change our thought process, so that we can know everything, even all illnesses, everything comes from our thought process. And so chapter 10, seek the good, so that we can, especially now in this time, to concentrate on good things and give out good thoughts and good energies. We will continue next week. We are almost done. I think there is like 2 chapters left. But this is quite a wonderful book with really, really great lessons and inspiring things for us to change in ourselves. It will be a reward. So we will continue next week. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gabriel and Felicia. Thank you so very much. May you have a wonderful day, and see you next week. Thank you so. Bye-bye.